Yeah.
We're live.
I will call the January 20th. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Alexander. Here. Councilmember Brandon. Here. Councilmember Brinker.
Here.
Councilmember Conklin.
Here.
Councilmember Missouri. Here. Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Mayor Long.
Approval of minutes for January 6th.
Second.
Motion for a second. Any questions or comments about the motion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon. Yes. Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Public comments and questions, comments from residents and taxpayers. Four B, closure of North Vesper of East Main to Jordan's Alley, on June 28th, 2025, by Uncle Albert's second reading.
Is the second reading of the street closure request. Mark Carrigan and Uncle Alberts is requesting the closure of North Vesper Street from Main Street to Jordan's Alley on June 28th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for their Pride and Haven event. And if approved, I'll work with them to ensure all the required paperwork and permits are required.
Second reading, do I have a motion?
Move the request.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments on the motion? Call the vote.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon. Yes. Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Four C, blessing your locking with the locking fire department, second reading.
This is the second reading of the use of Petty Park and City Beach. Closure request, Mark Schlesinger and Tyler Wooding are requesting the use of Petty Park and City Beach as well as Perry's Alley and a portion of North Vesper Street for a fundraising floating event on August 17th from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Do I have a motion?
I move for approval.
I second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Questions or comments on the motion?
Just had a thought with that. I put in there a couple years ago, it is very soft. Around Petty Park, I went down the path there. My wife and I put it in there a couple years ago. It's really soft. We might have to shore some of that up with stone or something like that because you're gonna lose potentially a shoe or along the way. So that's just a thought process there. And we didn't talk about or discuss that.
Any other comments, questions? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Four D, closure of East Water Street from J to Vesper for May 25th from Veterans Memorial event.
It's the first reading for this request. The Clinton County Arts Council and the Lock Haven VFW are requesting the closure of East Water Street from J to Vesper on Sunday, May 25th from 3 to 11 for a memorial celebration at Veterans Park. This event will feature live music, vendors, and fireworks. And if approved, I'll work with the organizers to ensure paperwork and permits are complete. And they are here if you have any questions regarding the event.
I do about the fireworks, where you planning on shooting them at?
I spoke with Zach Yeager, who's a professional fireworks guy, does those close proximity fireworks, and there's a lot more that we have to determine with that. But supposedly, they're not like a traditional firework. So it was going to be on the other side of the dike that was. So he'd be behind Veterans Park. Also, Casey, it says to, it should be Grove Street.
Okay.
But to answer your question, Steve, we still have to do a little bit more research on that after you get in here. What's the protocol as far as getting approvals? Does he have to?
That's to go through the Lock Haven Fire Department chief, which is Chief Tyler Wooding. We actually only have one place approved in the city, which is traditionally where we set off. But we don't set up where the JC set
Down
up.
at the dam.
They're required, it works down by the Tidlow Dam, by Grant Street. And part of that is because of the state fireworks law and how far you have to be from particular types of structures.
Yeah, I don't know everything about that. Only that he said that he would come up and view the site and everything and work with the city and whoever to see if it can.
Yeah, it's close proximity to those buildings and the courthouse right across the street. If it's not real high fireworks, it might be, and you're on the river side of the levee, you might be able to pull it off with.
And the way he spoke, he's done this quite a bit, but I don't know anything about it other than I can put him in contact with people that need to know and see if we can get it. I know they're about twice as expensive as regular fireworks.
Chief's well versed in the law, so he can help.
Any other questions?
Well, if we're gonna provide live music too, we should notify at least the residents and, that, we have an event.
Yeah, the live music, again, we're still in the process of working through this, but, it appears as though the way we would get it out, the band would start somewhere around 7:30, end around 9:30, 10 o'clock. We might have a band before that, it just depends on funding, but it's a work in progress.
Any other? Do I have a motion?
I make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion. And a second. All right, call the vote.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yeah.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 4E, downtown Rotary. Which is use triangle park. Any further than 17.
The Rotary Club of Downtown Lock Haven is requesting the use of Triangle
Push
Park
the button. Oh. Sorry. It's showing.
on the following dates for events. May 13th and May 23rd for through June 17th for the Flags of Honor display. And then September 11th from 2 to 10 for the Angel Luminary display. I put on the back, more details regarding their request.
May 23rd is the Friday.
So not May 13th. No.
Correct.
Still a long time, that's 3 weeks.
Limit the use of the park for any other location.
Flag of honor display, over Memorial Day would be beautiful at the park. But I'm not sure if it lasts a few more weeks after that,
My concerns, I mean, we do stuff during the holidays, it takes a lot, it's a long time, but we don't have the maintenance that we do time in summer. Flags there and then trying to do maintenance of that.
What about the concert series? That's the concert.
That-
series.
No,
That's also there's money.
Well,
started June.
yeah, it's June later than that. isn't it?
It's gonna be June 20th is the first.
So
And-
it wouldn't get in the way of that, but
Big, so.
it is beautiful. Well,
Oh, my gosh. But like you said, I mean. To have to mow around the mall
I
and care for the mall.
I apologize for interrupting. Their letter said they intend to fill the park. And if they're as close as they normally are, we wouldn't be able to mow.
right,
So it would be 3 weeks that during June, the park wouldn't be mowed. But would need to be presentable for really 3 days after that for public use for a concert.
yeah. What, I think, I know, I asked you, they've done this for a while, what was the time?
The prior years is usually about 4 days. I know in the past, like they have received requests to have them stay up longer. One was from me. It would be nice if they stayed up about a week. Because when people leave town for Memorial Weekend, which a lot of people do to camp, it's nice when they come back if they're still up. But traditionally, a week or less would be how long they've been up.
We could always approve it for a less period of time, if that's what counts.
I'm gonna make a suggestion or a motion, May 23rd to June 1. So that's Friday to Friday, including Saturday and Sunday. So that's 9 days.
And you're including that the section of less.
We should come down first. Can I go please sit down?
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor. To be clear on what that is.
From May 23rd to June 1st.
And also everything else.
And then the other.
Along with the rest of it. He's altering what's on the agenda just by the dates.
I'll second, yeah.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on the motion? Off the room.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Branham. Yes. Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yeah.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 4F, resolution number 2025-01, Ross Library Book Sale Ban.
The Ross Library is requesting to install a banner across Main Street from March 10th through March 31st for their book sale. That will be occurring March 27th through 29th.
Mr. President, do you have anything?
Our spring book sale. So very frequently we had the banner across the street to advertise it so that people in the city know that the book sale is coming on. Plenty of people tell us all the time they didn't know what was going on until they saw all the people, and not much more we can do other than put it in the paper and put a banner across the street and try to reach as many people. But I do know a lot of people look for that banner for the time to come. So
Go ahead, a motion.
One second.
Motion for a second. Motion. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Branham. Yes. Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yeah.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson. Mayor Long.
Yes. 4G, 2025 Frozen Snot 25K race extension.
This is a request from Frozen Snot, to extend their route, to include the 25K leg of the race, which will just add an additional 3 miles to the original route that takes place on trails that are already present at the park.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
A second.
All right, motion for a second. Questions or comments on the motion?
One question quickly for Casey, maybe she doesn't even know yet. Does this mean that he has 3 different distances that they're gonna be competing at this year?
Yeah.
I've not heard that. So.
I believe so.
That's one party.
just leave it to him.
Okay.
Yeah, right. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Branham. Yeah. Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yeah.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson. Mayor Long.
Yes. We have any other requests?
I have none, Your Honor.
Okay. Unfinished business 5A, consideration of the appointment of residents, cities, authorities, and boards, committees, and commissions.
The authorities, board, committees, and commissions, they're pleasantly called the ABCs. Before council this evening is the roster of 21 residents to be considered for council appointment to 11 boards, serving the residents of the city of Lock Haven, where residents serve neighbors. There are currently only 2 vacancies. One is on the Ross Library Board, and of course, the Ross Library is here this evening. But if anyone from the public is interested in being considered for that position, they can write to the president of the Ross Library Board at the library and have their name put in for consideration. The other opening that the city has is on the commercial loan program. It's for a very specific type of employee, somebody who works in banking. And so if anyone has any thoughts for that, they can reach out to Abby Roberts, who is the director of the city's commercial loan program.
Discussion. Okay, will we give a motion?
I move approval.
No second.
Any questions or comments on the motion? Call the vote.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon. Yes. Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yeah. 5B, Mill Hall Aquatic Facility Funding Request.
The last public meeting, representatives from the Mill Hall Borough Aquatic Facility came to council, asking for council to consider a funding request, potentially this year or next year. Packet that was provided is put into council's packet as well as provided to the press so that they have a copy of what was provided as well. And that's on there in case council wants to have any further discussion.
Thoughts? Anyone? You?
I'll say I spent many years. Yeah, I had a great time. I know that the YMCA kids or swimmers use it in the summertime, had been using it, so that helped the Central Mountain swim program as well, because the loggerheads are the feeder program with Central Mountain, so if we decide to do anything, it's not just gonna help Mill Hall, but it'd help out the whole entire community, because we have a lot of kids here in our local area that swim here in town, but also for the high school. It's having a very successful speaker industry as well, so that's just something to think about, not just for fun, but so helping the whole entire community.
Didn't we have some funding left over for the donations that we had? We had earmarked all the donation money.
You had a total of $5,000 that was reserved for entities like, what's it called?
Hope Stream Rescue Association.
Hope Stream
Okay.
Rescue, for when those organizations come forward, which is similar to what's brought forward here. So yeah, you do have that unallocated, but it's up to council to allocate how you get that 5,000.
Well, I thought it's allocated once we vote on it, or then if we don't use it, there's a surplus. Right now, I don't see a surplus in that donation fund. If that everything is earmarked, if they come forward for their money. And I started to look up what our cost in the last 4 or 5 years was in recreation. And what our future costs are gonna be to finish the Packard Fields funding now, right? So then we have Hannah Park and then Triangle Park and things after that. So I think we're pretty well recreation out funding wise. And I don't see any money in this year's budget. You can always look at it for next year. I mean, they relate to the table. And we've already decided, I can't see stretching ourselves right now for, I'm not saying it's a nice facility or it could be when they fix it. They should be thankful of all the support of the people who walk even and go up there and pay to use the pool, because that's support wise too. It's just that the city tax dollars are also valuable to us in the general fund. So, I just want to keep that in mind too. Perfect initiative.
That's part of what I was thinking is waiting until next year in budget season and seeing if we had a surplus at that point that we could.
They, when they gave their presentation, they did say that if we weren't able to do something this year, that maybe we could earmark money for them for next year, so. I do think it's an important thing to help fund, like Jeff, I spent my childhood summers there. Working in daycare in the past, I do know, the daycares used to utilize it. But they all go to Jersey Shore now because that one wasn't open anymore. So I do think it's important to the community as a whole to help fund and bring those, bring that back to the community, so. If we can find something to help them, it could be important.
Anyone else? Okay, so I'm taking it from the comments, so we are not looking at doing something this year. But during budget, we do consider it during budget next year.
I think if we are gonna consider something next year, we need to come up with a dollar figure that we're going to be in agreement to now so they can plan, because if they don't get their numbers, they're going to lose the grant. I'm not exactly sure what their time frame was with that, but I know sooner than later would be more beneficial for them. I'll be willing to discuss this next, at our next meeting, so we can have some more time to think about it. I know it's got this Friday.
I apologize for not being here last week. Did they give you a number? Did they say a number they would really like us to give them?
They
Or
didn't give us
didn't?
specific
They didn't
numbers.
give us any specific
I think I
number.
heard him say $1 million.
I heard 200,000.
200,000?
Yeah, they joked about 200.
Yeah.
It was, seriously,
But like 5,000 and what do you?
Well, they need to raise about $900,000, so. It's a matching grant, so.
Well, we do have our expensive lifeguards and our recreation at the river and the expense of putting things in the river, out of the river. I mean, we spend a lot on recreation is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Additional monies. Right now, I think recreation's tapped out.
Well, for this year, but I think Jeff's asking, toss a number around so that they can at least say maybe next year the city will give us X so that they can sort of put that towards their match, but that's not, I mean, a maybe money is not the same as.
At the end of the year, we can see what's not allocated out of the donation thing, which I disagree with going up to $80,000 since last year. I think it's too much. Cause that's just a turnaround of general fund money, and I know we have to have supportive services, which is okay. But I just think the increase is too much this year, and, at the end of the year, we'll see what happens, and maybe this year, or maybe forward towards budget. Now, I don't know what their deadline is for application.
I don't know.
But we did tell them we'd write letters of support, and maybe, if we found any funding ourselves, if we ran onto something, we would certainly pass it on to them. But it's hard to allocate, or to say now, oh, we'll give you 20,000 next year when you don't even know that your rate increases are gonna be going up. There's a lot of expenses coming to the taxpayers. So to mitigate those, we have to watch our pace. I don't see any motion here.
It is.
No, we don't. I mean,
I was asking the city planner if off the top of her head of the thousands of applications that go into the state's local share fund, if Mill Hill Borough happened to be one, but she didn't know that off the top of her head. Can you imagine?
Sorry.
But that's a potential source of matching funds is the state's proceeds from gambling. So that is a potential place that they could apply to get, but I'm not sure what those deadlines are.
yeah.
But that just takes support from both Borowitz and Dush in order to see a return on that.
I think that overall though, listening to all the messages here on council, none of us can remember, and we'd like to know when they need to know. Once we know that, I mean, majority can decide whether we want to. Merit to Steve's point, know we're gonna have, also know that, when you're doing projects like this, you need to have an idea of what you're working with. So at least knowing when they need to know by, would be good. And then if the majority of council feels we want to bring it back to the table, discussion? Is that all right with everyone?
Yes.
Okay,
We'll find out more.
all right, thank you. So that moves on because there was no motion made. 5C, city authority request for authorization to pay the invoice.
Under the resolution the council adopted, city authority, Lock Haven City Authority is asking for council's permission to pay 4 different bills. The amounts and invoices for those are included in the council packet. They include to Appalachian Forest Consultants, the Pennsylvania Municipal Authorities Association, Roberts Maselli, which is the solicitor for the authority, and Baker Tilly, which is the auditor for the authority.
On the motion,
I move approval.
motion floor and a second. Any questions or comments? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
No.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 5D, extension of CDBG engineering services agreement.
This is a extension of the agreement with Windofton and Foreman for professional engineering services within the CDBG program only, not as the city's engineer. So since we're in the Tiger Park still wrapping up as far as engineering goes, and then we're going to bid Hoberman this year as well as finish that. We just couldn't switch engineering firm, so we're just extended the agreement until the end of 2025, and then we'll competitively procure again as required, all required by CDBG. So
Do we have any questions on that? Okay, 5E, update on the Active Transportation Committee.
So a quick update, since the Rockworks grant was secured last year, and we received funding from Clinton County government as well. We moved forward with the active transportation plan. The committee was formed to kind of steer the development of the plan, providing local knowledge and guiding the consultant team on various topics. They've been meeting monthly since November, and they've created a solid foundation for the plan. So I just wanted to recognize those members. I'll read through them quickly. They are Barb Zordi, Steve Gibson, Melissa Daly, Ben Green, Casey Dunn, Aaron Kennedy, Stacy Wagner, Tyler Barth, Amy Bibelheimer, Robert Capelong, Beth Bartlett, Tyler Wooding, Danielle Barker, Dan Merck, Kristen McLaughlin, Tiffany Allen Bernard, April Bittner, Ben Green, Matt Rickard, and Wyatt Hall. These folks have just shown up for these steering committee meetings and have just pointed out issues and successes in our community that we can look at for active transportation. So we wanted to recognize them for their efforts. And this is an ad hoc committee. Council hasn't formally put anyone on this committee, but they have given their time to the city and we're grateful for them. In addition, the committee worked to create a community survey. So the community survey is live today and will close on February 28th. It is aimed to gather a lot of information about active transportation, whether it be walking, biking, scooters, or if you're driving and you notice that maybe you can't see a pedestrian at this crosswalk, there needs to be a stop sign there, or the timing of the lights should be different. There's a lot of things that go into active transportation, and we want the community's feedback on it. So again, that survey is only open for a month, just so we have quick turnaround and can get it involved in the plan. The survey will get a press release out tomorrow, so we'll be in the local press. It's also on the city's civil space page. There's a whole project dedicated to active transportation efforts. So the survey is on there. So I just wanted to again give the committee a high five and tell you all about the survey. If there are any questions, in the meantime, anyone can contact my office and be happy to help.
Thank you. Do we have any other unfinished business?
I've none, Your Honor.
A new business 6A, consideration of commercial loans, JB Wrenchen and Lenny's Three Wishes Bakery. Gene, excuse me, Gene's Three Wishes.
So we had the commercial loan committee was busy for their first meeting of the year. They approved 2 loans. First, I'll discuss the JB Wrenchen LLC. Request loan funds in the amount of $45,000, termed over 5 years at a 3% interest rate. The commercial loan committee approved the loan as presented. The approval includes a first lien UCC filing on all project equipment and a mortgage lien on the borrower's primary residence as collateral to secure the loan. So we're covered in our investment. As part of that process, I just asked for council to formally approve that recommendation by the commercial loan committee. Do you want to do both? I can do both. Or one at a time.
We can do both.
You can do both.
So Genie's Three Wishes Bakery, they applied to the commercial loan committee for $17,500, termed over 5 years at a 3% interest rate. The approval includes a first lien UCC filing on all project equipment as collateral to secure the loan. So again, these 2 loans were reviewed by the committee with help from CEDACOG, who they do the financial aspect on this and come to our meetings and present them, answer any questions. So we're grateful for them as well.
JB Wrenches, 320 East.
Used to be an S.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then,
them.
yeah,
Down
Oh, okay.
grocery, Charlie,
Excuse me, Charles.
and the rest. How far back do you wanna go?
What was the rent, what's the other one, JB Record, what is that company?
Wrenching, it's a gentleman who has been in business for a few years, and he's looking to increase his business by getting a second new truck and equipping it, because he does at-home repairs. He'll go to wherever you need him to do to fix it. It's
Yeah, I
not
went
hard. Yeah, it's here in town.
Name
That's actually very much needed. If you call a tow truck in this town, it's like an hour. Wait.
Yeah, so he might go to the finish, so.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
A much needed thing, another truck to do things. And where's the bakery?
It's down
Order
where,
of Hannah and May.
Oh, okay.
Rose Deli.
Where Ellie's ice cream is.
Where Ellen. It's in the back.
Well, I don't know about
There's short-
Ellie's ice cream, up there, I'm short lived pizza.
Yeah.
A very short lived pizza.
would someone like to make a motion for the
That.
the motion for a second, both of those? Any questions or comments on motions? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes,
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes.
Question. Comment. I would encourage any of the other businesses in town or startups that we have the money in the kitty to loan out. It's a substantial amount. I think it is. So we have flexibility to give help to businesses to get them started, or just give them that few extra 10, 20,000 to put them over the top, past their bank loan, that you only loan them up to so much. We'll take the risk on you if you apply all the numbers and the reports come back correctly, in the right ratios, and the business plan. So if anybody wants some help, we need to apply. We'll be here to help you.
6B, settlement with the Public Utility Commission.
As certainly the public remembers about a year ago, we started the process to apply to the Public Utility Commission to increase the rate for city water customers in order to cover not only the increased cost of doing business, having been 10 years since the city had previously raised rates, but also the increased cost that will come from having to do improvement projects and to supplement our water wells. So for several months, the city has been in mediation with the PUC offices, the Office of Consumer Advocate, the Office of Small Business Advocate, and the PUC Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement. And the settlement for this rate case has been sent to the judge last week for the judge's consent on the case. Importantly, the city charges the same water rate for customers within its limits, as well as city customers that are in Wayne Township, which is about 500 customers, another 500 in Castania Township, and 24 customers in Allison Township. It is the customers in Wayne Township, Castania, and Allison that the city needs approval from the Public Utility Commission in order to increase or change rates. The city does not need that same permission for its own customers, but obviously the city cares about equity, so we charge the same both within and without the border. City Council Subcommittee and city staff work closely with the team from Raftellus Financial Consultants. One of the initial goals was to improve rate equity so that rates would actually be reflective of the cost of the delivery of service for each type of customer, those being residential, commercial, industrial, educational, and public health. And the average residential customer currently pays $100.46 per quarter. Under the new rate structure, the average residential customer will actually see their rate go down by 10%. The average commercial customer will see their rate increase about 19.7%, and the average public health customer about 27.9%. The average education customer will see an increase of about 56%. What happened in the past is that some of the largest consumers of water also happen to be those that are the most costly to serve because of line sizes, sometimes pumps, things like that. So Raftellus worked hard to correct that. And what they were able to come up with, which the Public Utility Commission, as you can imagine, the Office of Consumer Advocate especially, had a great appreciation for, was really a more equitable rate for the residential customer, which are our majority of customers. The detailed information on all of this will be placed on the city's website tomorrow. It's also been provided to the Record and the Express, so they have full accounting of all of the information that I summarized, and also all members of council have been provided the copies as well. And the new rates are expected to have an impact on billing starting April, when they will be prorated in monthly basis. So in April quarterly bill, you will start to see some impact from that. Additionally, when the city has a project that's completed, with the water project, we borrow the money as a municipality from Penvest, which is a state financing organization. The loans come at an exceptionally low rate, about a quarter of what a bank rate would be. And so the PUC gave permission to the city to charge a separate line item for the Penvest debt service. And that's a flat rate per quarter per customer. All residential customers will pay the same rate. All commercial will pay the same rate. So it's just a flat rate. It appears separate on your bill. We don't currently have a qualifying Penvest because it needs to be closed. We have one Penvest open, so that won't be reflected until that closes, which is probably mid-year, and that's the old project. But we do have tentative information on what exactly that for each type of customer, and so that will go on to the website as well, so that people know what that fee potentially is. And that collected in total for the year pays that service. There is no slush fund left in there. It's calculated really specifically.
I might be missing something, I don't know. When I look at the attachment one for City of Lockhaven existing water rates, I'll just pick 4 inches just because it's being consistent. It's 164. I go to the City of Lockhaven new water rates, which is 1,165. That's a difference of 1,000. So what am I missing? I see an increase of significance, not decrease of 10%. So I might be missing something.
What you're missing is that in the old rate, they paid that flat rate plus the tiered system down below. So there isn't anyone who would have paid just, what were you using, the
I was just
4-inch?
I was just
Yeah.
looking at
So the 4-inch, there isn't anyone who paid $188. Because they paid 188 plus their consumption on the tiered system down below. So that would mean that if the average commercial customer now, they're getting the 4-inch rate for the flat and then their usage, and it's still going to be for the typical customer, the average customer, in commercial, it's going to be 19.7%. It's important to remember too that like we have %80 of our customers are residential. In the jurisdictional area, there are about 11 customers, although there are like 40 accounts. One customer alone has 20. So there are a lot of industries that have multiple meters, and there are a lot of commercial enterprises that actually will see some degree of savings based on their consumption as well.
I think Jeff was asking about the residential rate, the 4-inch residential line. I think the answer is the same thing because it applies to usage, but he was referring to the residential 4-inch.
I don't know if we actually have.
I wondered if there would be a 4-inch.
I don't know. I don't know where it's 4-inch, 3-inch. If you take the 3-inch, it's 116, 3-inch is 651. So yeah, I was just looking at numbers there.
Nearly every residential is about 3/4.
Yeah.
If it would have a 4-inch as a residential, it would be commercial or would actually be public institution. Yeah. Sorry, that's
Yeah.
education.
Yeah.
We don't use the same terms in every one.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thanks for the update. 16 rebate from Wayne Town landfill.
The city's collected recycling tonnage increased by 54 tons. And so the city is entitled under its agreement with Wayne Township Landfill to a rebate. That rebate is actually $7,800. Excuse me. That goes back into the general fund to help pay for the expense of collecting curbside recycling in the city, which is more than $30,000. And we get, along with this $7,800, we usually get around $6,000 from the state to put towards that $38,000.
Good, just keep recycling. And we have bins available at Second Avenue building.
Yep. Easiest to get there on the 3rd Avenue side, but if you have tree trimmings, brush, trees come down in the storm, bring them up to 2nd Avenue. We have a very large dumpster there to take your yard waste throughout the year, beyond when you just pick it up in the spring.
Thank you. 16, update on the LHV.
Lock Haven's airport through defense agreement. Wanted to give council a quick update. We met with Arlen Johnson and the city solicitor the other day to get that started again. We finally heard back from the FAA with their concerns. A lot of those are edits to the document that was originally what tenants themselves, the 5 entities, wish to have in there. Some of those things aren't permissible by the FAA, so the solicitor is writing a letter to the tenants about that information. And one thing we have to do is update the plot, the airport layout plan that shows the actual access point that each of the 2 defense will use to get onto the airport. So that's just so you know, still moving. Does have to be completed before anything as far as transfer of property to an authority, anything like that can be considered by the city. Other open projects that were submitted on the 16th for BOA approval and FAA approvals, the Lock Haven installation of self-serve fuel system and the Lock Haven access road and parking rehabilitation. And those have been engineered, so they've been sent for hopeful approval so we can get those underway this year.
Okay, we have any other new business?
I have none, Your Honor.
Does anyone, I think, bring up about any, maybe or Gordon, liaison?
January now, so.
Okay,
When's the next Rockland Council this month?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, but the great time.
Very sounds great.
This,
Oh, no way.
oh,
Again.
yeah.
Saturday, 5 o'clock, be here at City Hall.
Anyone else come in? Yeah, we have the other information, meeting minutes. Anyone else have anything to bring before council?
I mean, our hearts go out to LA. Yeah, that's absolutely devastating to what's happening out there. It just got me to think, you know, what's some of our challenges here in Lock Haven? I mean, we don't have 100-mile-an-hour gust of winds or anything like that, anything like that. But I remember back in '96 where we had all that snow, and then in March we had a lot of rain and all the snow melted. And I was living down by Piper there, and everything let loose. And we were, thank God that we had the dike at the time, because if we did not, the city would have been flooded. So my thought was, and I don't know the answer to this. Do you know when the last time we put in the wall at the J Street? And are we good to go if we have a situation like that? Because that's I guess our Santa Ana winds.
Yeah, the 5 closure structures get tested, usually with 3 that are the university, which are the large gates you can see from 220. They look the same at the university. And then we have them down by 220 by the airport. Those get tested in the same year. I think it's been 3 years since we did the bridge. That's been done twice since I've been here in 10 years. But there's actually a manual that we follow on how frequently that has to be tested. And it's part of the levee maintenance is every year, at a minimum once a year, we check every single sandbag that we need on hand. We make sure that if there are sandbags that won't work in a moment's emergency notice, that those are replaced. So we do a great deal of testing behind the scenes that people don't normally see, but it is all in working condition and has all been most recently inspected last fall by the Army Corps of Engineers.
I think we do about everything because of the project across the bridge and that construction, because we have to close the bridge down.
Right.
And mess the traffic up, so we delayed it, but the process is they actually put it completely up.
Correct.
Because when you have turnover of employees, they need to be exposed to how to put it up and take it down, so it's a good evolution to go through, including the two at the ends.
Right.
There's a process for those two, it's all written in a manual, they follow step-by-step instructions. We rely on the senior experienced people to lead the other ones through it, so that turnover, so, yeah, we're on top of it, ready to.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because we added a page after the last high water event, because so many people contacted the city about whether or not we would need to put that structure up. And so we do have a flood emergency response page on the city's website, and it tells you the exact height of the river that each of those structures has to be closed by height. So it tells you, you know, at 21 feet, we start doing this one. I wish they were in order, but we actually close number 3 first, kind of thing. You know, like it's just not in order. The closure structures 1 through 5, but it tells you exactly what the heights are so that people are aware. Probably the thing that impacts most people in our general area is at 17 feet, anything in Woodward Township that's in the flowage easement area should be removed. And so that has a bigger impact really on Woodward Township than it does on the city. But we have a lot of city residents who enjoy time, recreational time, especially in Woodward Township. So it does have an impact on that. Those individuals usually use either the city's website or NOAA to keep track of the exact height of the river and the anticipated height. Both of those links are available from that emergency preparedness page too, because we use NOAA quite a bit from the city's level to track the prediction, which can change on a moment's notice sometimes. But it is relatively accurate to tell us that we may be peaking above one of those points and do get people prepared for what will need to be done. About 250 sandbags per closure. So we've got them all over the place. They're checked constantly.
Any other questions? Anyone else have anything to bring before council?
I just wanted to thank Abby and the rest of the city staff for the great welcome and program that you put together with the governor this week. It was, I think, a very nice program, and I think that the city looked great and everybody were nice, and it was just a job well done to you, Abby, and to the rest of the city staff that I know worked really hard on making the event successful. So thank you.
Wasn't it nice she said the rest of the city staff?
The rest of them.
Yeah, I mean,
Because we didn't do it.
everyone in their offices. Everybody was gonna go.
There was sweet.
There was a suite.
Yeah. If you want to see second floor at its best, it's
Run up there now.
Yeah, run up there. Take a picture. Yeah. We just joked that any item you had in your office that slightly gave you a personality needed to come back. And instead just a picture of the governor and representatives in the office.
Anything else?
I move we adjourn.
We're-
Football.
I know, I can see it.